Ready to roll. Really liked practice this week. Thought our kids showed a good focus and a rejuvenation of things. I think their mind's back in a good spot. Understood what it takes to go on the road. I think they learned a good lesson last week as far as you got to be ready to play all the time. Teams in their home field are going to play very tough, just like NC State was this week. And I was very pleased with the practice and the attitude in which we had this week in practice. Very detail oriented, and I think that's a sign of a good football team. And I hope we can continue to play like that. I'm anxious to watch what happens on the road and with all the distractions and things that go on. So hopefully we learn some lessons from last week as far as travel and what to expect some of these young guys and how tough being on the road is. And hopefully we can get better.
They've got 3 offensive linemen out this week. Just on a continuity standpoint, how difficult it is when you have to keep switching up offensive lines?
I mean, it does, but sometimes it matters with experience. You know what I'm saying? How much experience those guys are and how much they've played. And I mean, obviously they would rather have their other guys, but they'll be ready to play. They'll have them ready.
How'd they deal with the noise pumped in and all?
I thought it was really good. I mean, I tell you, sometimes those are your best practices because, one, they can't hear us yelling at them. And 2, it makes you focus. You know you have to. That's like when you really got to do something, sometimes how you'll bear down. And I think that does, or your players do that in practice, and I was very pleased with that. We didn't have hardly any miscommunications at all.
How do you feel about the offensive line going in? I didn't realize 4 of your 5 guys have never played in a hostile road environment line.
Hey, that's what you got to put them in there and go. They've been in practice with us. They've been in practice with Trickett. That's a hostile environment every day. So they'll be fine.
Is Seminoles still feeling okay?
Yeah, he's good. He'll be ready to go. He's ready to go.
What do you think about them ACC moving back to the 8-game?
I mean, I think it's a good. I mean, I was a component of the 8-game deal in the first place. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's kind of weird how it happened right now. I mean, in your planning, and how it's going to put a lot of teams scrambling here quickly for not teams that are already booked up for games. But I think it's a good thing as far as how you can structure a schedule and some of the things you give you some freedom to do outside. And I think it's a more fair way of doing it with an even number of teams. Because of, some years some teams have to play five road games. Sometimes they have to be 4, even though you could do it where you take each division does it at that time. You know what I'm saying? You could say, okay, the Atlantic this way, the Coastal this year has the 5 game, which makes it more fair on your side. But it's still it's a hard road to hoe as far as a champion, getting championships and things. But I think it's a good thing. Now you got to figure out the schedule part of it.
I think it was Virginia Tech's AD maybe suggested that they would be open-minded to playing an extra ACC game this coming year and not counting it as a conference game to fill out that schedule. Is that something you'd like to avoid doing, or would you?
Well, I don't know if you want to do that. I want to wait and see everything. It's too early for me to answer that question. But I can see where it comes from because the problem comes from trying to find the game. I'm telling you guys, like last year, everybody joked about us getting Savannah. You could not find the game. Yeah. And everybody thinks I'm crazy. Wait till 12 of them go through it this year.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what happens. What he's thinking of, he knows those guys know how hard it is to find one, and you may be the only way you can get a game. Until you can get your schedule fixed out in the future. I mean, I don't know. I'm saying I guarantee that's where it's coming from. Though.
You guys kind of have a jump on that, so to speak, having to look for teams already with Nevada.
Exactly right. And I don't know, we're jumping, but I don't know what we're seeing. I don't know what we're seeing out there. It's hard.
But long term, though, I mean, it's got to open up your options.
Oh, no doubt. I think it does. I think it frees you up with just whether you want to play more national games, more series and more different things in the way it goes. But you still have to be careful about make sure you get enough home games to be able to pay your bills. But you still can play a much different kind of schedule, and I think it's a very good thing.
But this opens the door for the potential of a home and home, which you really didn't have before for an out-of-conference team.
It does, but you got to make sure what conference team it is and how much it brings in as far as a home and home. I know maybe it's an avenue in the future of playing an opening game of some sort. You know what I'm saying? Where you can get that revenue every year and not have to give it back. See, the only thing about giving it back, when you watch that revenue, if you ever looked at the numbers, and I have, there's a big discrepancy when you don't have that, when that game all of a sudden goes on the road and you've lost that home game too. I mean, there is, and financial crunch is a big part of what goes on.
You're talking about like a neutral site type game?
Yes, I mean, maybe that. I mean, if that happens, I mean, there's a lot of options you got to weigh out and see what you got to do.
USF game was something not exactly like that, but sort of like that, where you had a large fan base of your own that could be there, and it was not necessarily a neutral site game, but similar.
Well, you didn't make, but we didn't make any money.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
We didn't make any money.
It was good in terms of the crowd.
No, it was wonderful. I'm with you on that 1,000%. I have no problem with that. That's wonderful. I just want to get paid. And I'm not saying us, I'm saying our school as far as for what you got to have for finances to get down the road. That's the big thing. But yes, to answer your question.
Other injuries, you guys coming in okay?
Yeah, we are. I think Trey Pettis got banged in the head in practice, got a little concussion type symptom, but other than that, we're good.